I'm not going to be the one doing it, so I'm not sure if she wants it either.
I can do it from...
Whose height is this adjusted for? I'm not short.
Mine, Aaron. Yes, because you can see it pretty
It's just
well.
perfect. Yeah, well, you want to be the moderator the entire time? She's not going to be able to see it, but I'm not sure if she's going to use it. Are you going to need that to change?
Well,
Do you want me to do it?
That would be my preference if I was doing it and have him do it.
well, Vicki and I have talked about, I would try to do it, and I do it if I
Okay.
can.
Can you see that?
Can
That's
I
the
see?
issue. Yeah, I think it's way too, it's adjusted for him.
Oh,
So I'm not sure how we fix that.
okay.
So maybe, I usually turn around and go,
There's one other thing.
Well, you know, probably just seeing the top of it is enough.
which one? First one?
The video.
Video, the first song.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get the,
No.
what?
The audio.
I know it's too bad.
Do you usually do it, Ellen?
Change this.
Not really, but I can do it. It's fine.
Pay attention to when it needs to be
I
changed.
think we can do it between the three of us. We can get it completely mixed up.
Yeah, but see, I cannot. To me, that does no good whatsoever, other than it tells you which one it is and that you
okay.
might need to change it. I can't read it.
I
can't, and if I want to read the words,
I
it's not
think
helpful
just seeing the top of it is enough for
to know when to change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
All right. And how does, okay, so this is forward, this is backward?
Other way
Oh,
around.
okay.
You don't have to point it at anything. You can just press it. Just
Okay.
back and forth. See, forward. Back,
Oh, okay.
Forward.
All right.
Back.
Great.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. And you don't have to point it. You can just, you don't have to point it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just you can hold it however you want.
Okay.
It's not
Got
pointed
it.
at
All right.
or there. All good.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. What a great day. These men are going to feed us. Isn't that great? Yay! Okay, before we begin, I need to remind you the service is being streamed. We are going back to streaming just for today, and then next week we'll be Zooming, I think. Anyway, so today we are being streamed and also preserved in electronic form, so if you come to the mic, be aware that your words will be out there forever. And also, please set your cell phones on silent. I hope I've set mine on silent. And if you need a hearing gadget, this will bring the sound right to your ears. It's great. And they're right out there in the hall. Okay. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Topeka. If you're a newcomer, welcome and thanks for joining us today. If you've been part of this group for a short while or for a long while, thanks for sticking with us. As you use, we do not have a shared theology, doctrine, or dogma. The glue that sticks us together is made of our shared principles. Our earnest desire to be the best servants we can to all our fellow humans on this earth and to the earth and its creatures. This is such a big job for a little group, but we practice on each other. Here we aspire to give each other respect, to listen to each other with open hearts, and to support the good things that each of us tries to do. These are our aspirations, and when we fall short, we just keep trying. This is our Sunday morning service for January 28, 2024. This is the 23rd in a series of programs offered by the 8th Principal Team. Vicki George, Janine Silsby, Lauren Christ, and me, Lou Hoover. This team was formed to address the commitment this congregation made when it passed the 8th principle. The 8th principle affirms and promotes journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. As always, the team asks ourselves and you, so what? Why present this topic here as a Sunday morning service at the location of what we describe as a spiritual home and beacon of liberal religion in Topeka? We hope we can start to answer that question as the service proceeds. And now, a song.
Due to technical difficulties, there's no sound on this video. Fortunately, it's very simple, and I know it, and you've done it before. It's been a little while. It's written by Leah Morris. You've seen her face up here. Not up there right now, but she's a UU that has written a lot of very simple, singable songs. And we are very grateful to her for those. She has also given, I contribute, and so she's given us permission to use her songs. So, if this becomes familiar to you as I sing it, please join me. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open, though the waves try to push me around. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open till my faith brings me back to higher ground. That's it. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open, though the waves try to push me around. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open till my faith brings me back to higher ground.
Thank you, Janine. And now the chalice lighting. It's Lauren and Elliot.
As always, this is the Prayer for Living Intention by Joseph M. Cherry. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as a people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving.
And now we will have the story for all ages with Vicki and Janine.
These people up there on the screen. So let me see, who can tell us who's on the left? Linda Lucer, who's on the left? Well, a little bit louder, please. Oh. Yes. Okay, so that is your son and daughter-in-law.
Yeah, that's my Michael, who was born. He was smaller than this when he came into this fellowship.
That's right. He's one of the kids of the fellowship. Now he's quite a bit older. Okay, and the two on the right, that is Beth and her partner, Danny. And Beth is our daughter, and she was raised also in this fellowship. Now, the folks on the left are married. What do you want to say anything about how that was tricky for them?
Well, it wasn't tricky anymore. It would have been back before 1960 something, I think it was. Is that when the Loving Act was passed? Before 1960, it would have been illegal for Michael and Billie Jean to get married. Do you know why? Because one's brown. Yes. One is brown. They would not have been allowed to get married in many parts of the United States. So now, and then there was a couple that took sued their state. His last name was Loving. Can you believe it? How perfect. And so they sued to be able to be married. And now everybody in the United States, it doesn't matter what color you are, whether you're brown or white or whatever, you can get married. Now, there are still some people that cannot get married.
Well, that changed. The couple on the right, by the way, 2015. Let me see. In your lifetime, my lifetime, your lifetime, 2015, right? So tell me, Stella, what do you think, the couple on the right? What do you notice about that? Is it obvious? Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Both Beth and Danny, when they were born, were both identified as female. Now, Danny, Beth's beloved, no longer identifies as female. They identify as gender fluid. What I love about Danny is I'm really trying to use the pronoun that they prefer of they. But you know what Danny always says to me? You can call me he, she, or they. Just don't call me late for lunch. And that to me just shows so much grace. Now, Beth wants everybody to know they are not married. And I say under my breath, yet. But not that I'm a pushy mother. No, never, never. So both of these couples at one point in many of the lifetimes of the people here could not marry. And that was the case for Richard Loving and Mildred Jeter. They fell in love and they lived in Virginia. They fell in love and they wanted to get married. And they knew they couldn't get married in Virginia because one was black and brown, and one was beige, white. So they went to Washington, D.C., but when they came back, do you know what happened to them? They got arrested. They got arrested and put in jail because they married. Even though they didn't marry in Virginia, the police came in the middle of the night and took them to jail. They were there for several days. So they finally felt like, we have to just leave this state of Virginia. And they went to Washington, D.C., and they eventually had 3 kids. But they missed their home in Virginia. So you know what? They decide, this isn't right. We're going to stand up for ourselves and for everybody else that wants to marry whoever they love. And that's the case for Loving. So, very important case. So, anything you want to say about your kiddos? More? Except they're really happy.
You should see every picture, they're smiling.
Yeah. And my 2 kiddos are happy too. And I believe you wanted to make an announcement before you get the kiddos out.
It might be me. I'm sorry. It is thunder. I just wanted to remind everybody that next Sunday is the RE Bake Sale. And if you would like to donate a delicious baked item, you can bring it in. And we will purchase it and eat it and enjoy it. Thank you.
And may I say, we must not sing Go Now in Peace because we are being, but we can do this little light of mine because of the streaming. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Okay. It is time for joys and concerns. I was not sent any. Does anyone have anything they want to share? Yes, Vicki does.
I'm out of the kitchen. I'm out of the kitchen. The men are taking over. The men are taking over. The men are taking over.
Vicki is happy. Okay. We will proceed with the main part of the message. This month's theme is liberating love. And so I wrote this to this is kind of my take on how thinking about racial justice and other justice issues provide a love that liberates us. There's a natural human tendency when we hear of someone else's misfortune to think it won't happen to me. It won't happen to me because I'm older or younger, or because I'm a different gender or race, or because I lead a different lifestyle. It's probably a healthy thing to think it won't happen to me. We humans have too much imagination. If we thought everything and anything could happen to us, we might become crazy with anxiety. So it is a good and healthy thing if we try to mentally insulate ourselves from the fear of suffering others' misfortunes. It can even leave us stronger and more able to help the person having the misfortune. If I feel confident I will not get the kind of cancer you have, I can use that confidence to spend time with you, listen to you, and help you with the chores that have become too difficult. But that need to insulate ourselves from others' misfortunes can lead in the other direction. Instead of caring and being a capable helper, it can lead to insensitivity or an uncaring attitude. It can lead us to distance ourselves from the person having the misfortune. It can lead us to other them or see them as fundamentally not like us. In just about every human society, there are those who have more advantages and those who have less advantages. Like Dr. Seuss's star-bellied Sneetches, if you remember the Dr. Seuss story, those of us with more advantages may see ourselves as better, as more deserving, and close our minds to the fact that the Sneetches who don't have stars on theirs are being deprived of advantages that should be theirs as well. Why has our team done these Eighth Principle Sunday programs? Why do you attend them? Why do we want to hear from people who have experienced homelessness? Why do we study racial issues? Why do we ask trans individuals to tell us their stories? We are people who are driven to overcome our own insensitivities. We are striving to tear down that thick layer of insulation that makes them not seem like us and not deserving. We want to see others as whole human beings, not alien. That's who we are, as you use. It's our first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Taken to its logical conclusion, if we tear down the insulation that separates us, we become one big us. That theoretically at least could encompass the whole human race. Love liberates us when we become one big us. When we see a video of a man being suffocated right before our eyes, and we no longer think those poor black people, how terrible this should happen to them. And instead we think, How terrible that this would happen to one of us. One of us. And we know that we need to be part of the solution to unjust deaths at the hands of police. When we read of grinding poverty, we no longer assume that they somehow deserve it or are flawed. Instead, we see that we need to become part of the fight for a more just economic system. When barriers go down, solutions become more possible. Becoming one big us does not mean that we get to appropriate someone else's history. It does not mean that we get to share in someone's drama or scoop up sympathy that would be rightly theirs. It does mean that we no longer feel those insulating boundaries that leave us thinking quietly and secretly, maybe they deserved it. Or maybe they put themselves at risk. Or that is their lot in life. Becoming one big us also does not mean that we become blind to individual failings and shortcomings. Of course, a person in many instances is contributing to their own disadvantages, but just as we would not abandon our own wayward child, we do not abandon one of us. We stand by them as they seek to find solutions and outgrow self-defeating behavior. Becoming one big us liberates us. It opens doors, it creates new possibility, it generates hope. It means that we can view someone from a race or ethnicity different from ours with the same grace, goodwill, and forgiving heart that we extend to people of our own ethnicity or race. It can mean that we view someone from a country or family different from ours with the same grace, goodwill, and forgiving heart. It can allow us to view someone with a sports team fandom or religion different from ours with the same grace, goodwill, and forgiving heart that we extend to people with the same sports team fandom. And how about this for a wild idea? It means that we can view someone loyal to a different political party with the same grace, goodwill. I see a little rebellion out there. Same grace, goodwill, and forgiving heart that we extend to people of our own political party. We might even consider viewing someone with a different vision for the UUFT with the same grace, goodwill, and forgiving heart that we extend to those whose vision is the same as ours. Becoming one big us does not mean giving up our own opinions, ideals, goals, and hopes. It does not mean becoming part of one big gooey mess of hypocritical sentimentality. What it does mean is holding a climate of loving respect that allows each of us to speak our truth clearly. It allows us to listen to each other with sincere interest and understanding. And it lets us find a path forward that might just turn out to be better than what any of us as individuals could have seen. I have loved being part of this team. Our little team consists of people who held and continue to hold different versions of the history of the UUFT and different visions for the future. But we have reached that blessed state where we can openly disagree with one another without fear that it will destroy the love and trust that binds us together. Working shoulder to shoulder with these three women will be a memory I will treasure for the rest of my life.
I hadn't heard that before, so excuse me for a moment. But I must respond to the big us. If you have not read The Sum of Us, It is an amazing book that talks about how this zero-sum game of this somebody else gets something, it takes something away from me is so wrong. And the one example that stands out is back when they wanted to give all the small communities swimming pools, when they found out they had to be integrated by federal law, many towns cemented those pools. So not only did black people not get a pool, neither did the white people. And it's about how we have cut off our nose to spite our face, as they say, in keeping racism going. Still. The sum of us, okay? You would ask me that and I don't know, just look up the sum of us. That's all you need. I listened to it on, okay. Mine's shorter, so I gotta be a little. Over 2 years ago, the then operational UUFT, this congregation's conflict resolution team, asked members which principle they thought we needed to work on the most. Overwhelmingly, the 8th principle was identified. Here is how UUFT had previously passed inclusion of that, had passed the inclusion of that principle. We included that in our principles. We changed it a little bit, but this is how it read. We affirm and promote journeying toward wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. Though racism had been on our radar for decades, for many of us, we were civil rights protesters of the 60s. Anti-racism, white supremacist systems, and white privilege were fairly new to our awareness and discussion. And they rankled our white liberal sensibilities. Unfortunately, that also left some of us sometimes tone deaf when our members of color, and by members I mean of this congregation, attempted to let us know when and where we fall short. It was so hard to believe that we could be the inflictors of microaggressions and that UUFT could be a white supremacist system just by being part of mainstream America. The Sunday Program Committee, operating at that time, included Lou Hoover, who just spoke. She volunteered to take the first Sunday of the month and attempt to address the above issues. She asked me, Vicki, and Lauren to form the team to create these services. 2.5 years later, we feel that we have reached an inflection point. We've run out of energy. I will speak only to my thoughts, and the others have and will speak to theirs. I joined this effort from the position white folks, even we liberals, have a lot to learn when it comes to racism in America. And it was time to stop asking our friends of color to do the educating. The 4 of us have done our best, often stumbling, to bring what we thought would be helpful topics and perspectives to the UUFT pulpit on Sunday mornings, to help us address not only racism within our society, but its insidiousness within our own lives, and to shine a light on how anti-racism brightens all our lives and our congregation. I don't know how successful we have been, but I do think it is time for me to shift my energies on this issue here at UUFT. Many have expressed an interest in reinstituting beloved conversations. This is dear to my heart. Enough so that I am willing to proceed with exploring that we do this. From their website, Beloved Conversations is a program for people seeking to embody racial justice as a spiritual practice in beloved conversations. We are here to heal the impact of racism on our lives in order to get free together. I would also like to support the recertification of UUFT as a welcoming congregation. Though I don't think I have the bandwidth to take the lead on both of these important programs, I am willing to support anyone who would take on this latter important task. Is that you? How do you think UUFT can continue journeying toward wholeness, working to build a diverse and multicultural beloved community, to act to accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions? In closing, I would like to thank my colleagues in this 2-year effort. Lauren, for the generational perspective the rest of us were often blind to. Vicki, for your seemingly unending energy and enthusiasm. And Lou, for your calm wisdom and willingness to call us out on our occasional reactive certainty of the righteousness of a particular position, and for getting us all together to grapple with these issues, our lives and our relationships.
We have a set of questions on the back of your bulletin, but these two put so much time and energy and thought into what they put together. Me, I'm a teacher. I need something structured. So I went and answered the questions briefly for myself. So, 1, have you found these programs helpful? And I said yes to myself. Personally, the relationships among the 4 of us has so enriched my life. I have shared this space with Lou for 42 years, but we never really shared the space together. And to have this kind of range, generational range, was so rich and just added so much perspective to this group. So, I just don't want these women to pass out of my life. I don't. You're not going.
Can't get rid of us.
No. I got rid of the kitchen, but I'm not going to get rid of y'all. Okay. What has been significant or memorable? And I was just thinking a couple of ones that I was involved with personally. There was in November 2021, we had 2 professors from Washburn, Dr. Tom Price and Dr. Kara Kendall, where which come talk about critical race theory. When someone from here asked, when should children be taught about racism, I thought Dr. Kara was going to come out of her chair. She reacted so strongly, and she said, children of color do not have the privilege and the luxury of waiting to hear about racism. They have been subjected to it. Her sister was adopted from South Korea, and her experience of her family's white bubble was seared into Dr. Kara's experience of how cruel some parts of our society can be toward children, for crying out loud, for children, taunting her with her eyes like this. So the other one that really was an eye-opener for me was the loss aversion program we did September 22, Grieving Loss of Privilege. And boy, and you know who gave the best reading that I read? It was from the insurance people. The insurance people. The pain of losing is psychologically twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining. So it takes 2 to 3 times of something positive coming towards you for you to give up for feeling the loss of losing something. However, perceived pain from privilege loss can be mitigated if the change can be reframed as an advantage or worthy. It's like both Lou and Janine have been talking about how you can reframe things. They may not use those words, but how you can look at it differently. I certainly gained from the personal stories from our members that identify as trans, even though we have a person who identifies as non-binary in our lives. Danny lives in Seattle. We don't see them that often. So, and then the opportunity to hear from Oshira, a former member of this congregation that's a person of color, about the microaggression she faced here. I as someone she heard say, she was only on this UUA General Assembly Program Committee because she was black. Ouch. Comments that Black Lives or Unitarian Universalism was splitting the UUA. My perspective, I think the blue may be saving the UUA. So we have lost several of our members that are people of color. But you know what? They aren't lost to Unitarian Universalism. They attend All Souls in Kansas City. RJ is actually pursuing a divinity degree at Star King. Whether she'll ever be connected with us again, I don't know. But they have both not given up on Unitarian Universalism. It's whatever they felt like they experienced here. So, what has this affected my point of view, way of thinking, or behavior? Well, I just joined the YWCA's book club about racism. Dennis and Lou, yes, I'm being drugged to this way after you guys did, and it's a really good group. It made me more determined to speak about microaggressions. My brother, oh boy, you talked about someone of an opposite team, wow. And I learned how to, before he died in August, I was able to say to him and thanked him for stopping to make the racist comment to me when he found out that we had adopted a child of color. Our son's black. I said, then I also thank you for stopping making your homophobic comments. And I meant it. They were horrible when you found out your niece is a lesbian. But then you and I disagree on the point about trans. And I went into my experience with trans population, and my brother had to admit, well, I've never known anybody who was trans. So, my brother's, when my nephew died, one of my brother-in-law's friends kept looking at my son, David, saying, where are you from? And was not happy when all my son would say, I'm from Chicago. No, where are you from? As in, there's something about you that's different that I don't like. And I didn't speak up, and I'm very embarrassed by it. I'm going to try and get better about that. Well, at this point in our age, we have a child who's 39 going on 40 and one that's 42. And they're now starting to tell us all the mistakes we made parenting. Oh, those of you that are parents, you haven't had that experience yet? Oh, belt in, folks, it's coming. And if you haven't said those things to your parents, oh, please be kind. But David has called us on the fact that he did not grow up in a very cross-racial group. Look around us. Look at us. Look how white we are. If I could have felt comfortable in a black church, that's where we should have gone. But the theology just could not. So he called us on it. Oh, yeah, went to Topeka High. We purposely made sure he went to Topeka High. But it's not enough to just be kind. And there's a big difference between intent and impact. So some of these comments that O'Shara heard, that's probably not the intent, was to hurt her. But the impact. So I'm not going to swear, set your ego aside. It's not about you. How can UUFT move forward from here? Janine's already mentioned it. Beloved conversation, commit money and time. Renew our welcoming congregation status and take down the sign, or else we need to take down that sign out front that said we're a welcome congregation. And this time, attend the conversations prior to the vote. Stop thinking just because we are these good liberals that we don't have to do the work. And be brave. Don't assume our good liberal intentions save us from harmful impacts.
Okay. Okay, folks, we're going to put you to work. Okay, so you've on the back of your program, you'll see 4 questions, and I'd just like to know how many of the people here have attended 5 or more of the programs we've done. Do you think? Okay, good. Well, because we want you to reflect on the series. You see the questions there. Have you found the programs helpful? What's been significant or memorable? Have they affected your point of view, way of thinking, or behavior? And most importantly, how do you think the UUFT can move forward from here? So if you could break into small groups of 3 to 5 people, as we customarily do, and then we want you to report back and to the whole group, appoint someone out of your small group to come up here and tell everybody what you think. And here's the trick. We're asking you to put that into a 6-word phrase. A 6-word phrase, folks. Okay, so group up, people. Is everybody ready, or do you need you're ready? Okay, all right. You're ready? Okay, great. Shall we, let's start over on this side. Do you have, who's your representative can come up to the mic? Oh, okay, all right, here we go. Here's a brave person.
Good morning. I'm Patricia Hildenbrand, and I use she, her pronouns. Our group decided that the children are the future.
Thank you. Those are their 6 words. Thank you, Patricia. Okay.
Good morning. I'm Bill Griffiths, and our group slogan is keeping it in front of us. And we discussed that it was good to have this period of time where we devoted one Sunday a month to focusing these issues, but at some point we need to integrate that more generally into the other programs, so it isn't something we just set aside one Sunday for, but it's constantly in front of us to keep working on these issues with an open mind and open heart.
Thank you, Bill.
As you know, I'm always shy. Cheryl Franklin, she, her. Well, we had a bunch of newbies, and so we basically were like, okay, this is our first session. But one was forgiveness is golden, we're only human. And that it's always good to learn. That I added to it.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I'm Dennis Bosley. I'm going to try to approximate what we came up with, which is practicing anti-racism is necessary for progress. And I also want to mention, with regard to Oshara is involved with the Crisis Intervention Team program downtown. She's on a committee with Judge Mabin Wright. There's about 7 on the committee. And what they're looking for is a location for a one-stop shop, not only for homeless people, but for people freshly getting out of jail and to intercept them before they get into jail. But Oshara wanted to be part of that committee, and I'm so thrilled that she volunteered.
Thanks, Dennis.
Couple more newbies, Cindy and Kevin, and if I were to do 6 words would be eye-opening mom's experience with child. And if you want to know more about that, ask Cindy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll get there. Okay, is that everybody? Thank you so much, everybody. Okay, let's see. Sorry, I've got to find myself here. Okay, announcements, and then we'll get to the offertory. I want to say, first of all, that I forgot a couple of joys and concerns. One is Kathy Callan Molyneux has a sister, Jo, who has been ill with Alzheimer's for several years, and we received word that Jo died this morning. So keep Kathy and her whole family in your thoughts, please. And the other, well, maybe it's a little, I'm going to have my knee replaced. So I'll be able to go up and down these steps using 2 feet instead of one at a time. Okay, we have some announcements. For everyone who loves pupusas, Ivania is going to be cooking pupusas this morning from her home. So if you got a pen, you might want to dig it out, because I'll give you her address. She is making both bean and cheese and chicharron and cheese pupusas fresh today. There's still a package of 4 for $10, complete with tortilla slaw and warm salsa roja. The only catch is you need to pick them up at their house, which is 500 Southeast 36th Street. That's off Adams between 29th and 37th. It's a small beige house with the address on the street side mailbox. Cash would be appreciated, and pupusas can be picked up until 1 p.m. today. Repeat the address. Oh, yes. 500 Southeast 36th Street. Okay. Next announcement. Kansas Interfaith Action is sponsoring an event called Countering the Threat of White Christian Nationalism. It is an in-person discussion of white Christian nationalism, what it is, how it's impacting policy, and what we as people of faith can do about it. That will be Tuesday, February 6th at 7 p.m. at St. David's Episcopal Church, which is at 3916 Southwest 17th. And they have a website, kansasinterfaithAction.org/events/WCN-Topeka. Okay. And Jana has an announcement. You have a one-foot thing too.
Yes, I do. Hello. Nancy Isaac's father passed away last week. She's been out with him in Oregon for the last 4 months, so think about her. And I think they will have a memorial service back here in Kansas, I believe. So just wanted to announce that.
Okay, and Rob.
Yes, as a program council has an intention to move to Zoom, as Lou stated earlier, a week from today. And we're doing what we can to prevent glitches, but in a technological change, there's always that possibility. So all we need to do is get the word out so everyone understands what the Zoom link and password is. Primarily, this is for people who are not here today and they'd like to tune in. So bear with us. And lastly, my deep gratitude for this AIDS principal team who has put on programs for us that touch us, keep the issue alive and in front of us. It's so important, and hopefully we can do that, as Bill suggests, do that each Sunday. wouldn't it be nice if we had just a brief message at least, so it doesn't die away and we forget all about it? So anyway, thank you so much for the 8th principal team.
Okay, and I think the only other announcement then is that today is the 4th Sunday potluck. Yay! And let's finish up this program and then we can go eat. All right. And now we'll have the offertory.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
Okay. All right. We're not going to have the song. We're having technical difficulties, so we're going to read some closing words. Great.
That's the spot.
If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as a people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving.